Have you ever had one of those quiet mornings where everything seems fine, your cup of tea is warm, the sun's coming through the window, but there's a little voice inside you saying something feels off? Maybe it's a heaviness in your chest or just that tired feeling in your thoughts. Not because you're physically exhausted, but because your spirit feels a bit worn down. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. You see, growing older brings wisdom, beautiful memories, and experiences we wouldn't trade for the world. But it can also bring something else, something quieter, harder to name. It's the emotional weight of things left unsaid, friendships that faded, regrets that linger, or simply the sense that life isn't as vibrant as it once was. These feelings don't make you weak or broken, they make you human. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. In this video, we're going to uncover 4 emotional traps that tend to sneak up on people as they age. Traps that can quietly steal your happiness, your energy, and your peace of mind. And the good news? You can break free. You really can. Not with drastic changes or complicated plans, but with simple shifts in how you see yourself and the life you're living. Let's begin with something almost everyone over 60 has experienced at some point. The trap of silent loneliness. It's not just about being alone, it's about feeling alone even when others are around. Maybe your children are grown and busy with their own lives. Maybe old friends have moved away, or you're not as mobile as you used to be, so those casual drop-ins and coffee dates happen less and less. The world keeps moving at its fast pace, and it can start to feel like you've somehow been left behind. The trouble with this kind of loneliness is that it often hides behind a smile. You might still make small talk at the grocery store or wave to a neighbor, but inside, there's that ache, that sense that nobody really sees you. And what makes this trap dangerous is that it slowly convinces you to pull back even further, to stop reaching out, to believe that no one would care even if you did. But the truth is, someone does care, probably more people than you realize. You may not be able to turn back time or bring back every connection you've lost, but you can create new ones. And more importantly, you can let go of the fear that your voice doesn't matter anymore. It does. It absolutely does. Start small. If you're at the market and someone looks your way, say hello. If you notice a neighbor gardening, compliment their roses. These may seem like tiny actions, but they're seeds, and seeds grow into something beautiful when you water them with kindness and consistency. And if you're someone who prefers quiet, remember, connection doesn't always have to be noisy or crowded. Even a phone call once a week or writing a short letter to someone you haven't spoken to in years can begin to lift that cloud of loneliness. Now, let's talk about another emotional trap, and this one can be even harder to notice. It's the trap of comparison with your younger self. It sneaks in when you're looking at old photos or watching younger people doing things that once came easy to you. Maybe you used to dance for hours or stay up late with friends. Now you find yourself needing more rest, forgetting where you placed your glasses, or taking longer to recover from a simple walk around the block. And somewhere inside, that little voice whispers, "You're not who you used to be." That voice can sting, can it? It tells you that the best part of your life is behind you. But here's what I want you to know. Truly and deeply, you are not your younger self. And that's not a loss. That's a gain. Because the you of today has something that version never did. Perspective, depth, a strength built not in your muscles, but in your soul. Stop measuring your worth by what you can do compared to when you were 30 or 40. That version of you had its moment and it was beautiful. But so is this one. It's just different. Slower doesn't mean less, quieter doesn't mean dull. And fewer people in your life doesn't mean you've been forgotten. It may just mean you've finally learned who really matters. Try this. Next time you catch yourself reminiscing about the old days, don't stop the memory, but add to it. Think about what you know now that you didn't then. Think about the mistakes you've overcome, the people you've loved, the storms you've weathered. That's not loss, that's living. You're not stuck in the past, you're standing on it. And it's a strong, solid foundation. As we explore these emotional traps, it's not about blaming ourselves or feeling ashamed. It's about becoming more aware. Sometimes just naming what we're feeling, saying it out loud, or even just admitting it to ourselves is the first step toward healing. There's something incredibly powerful about realizing you're not the only one. And that just by shifting your focus. It's amazing how sometimes just recognizing a feeling can lift a bit of its weight. And now that we've opened the door to those quiet, emotional traps, we can walk through together and shine a little light into the corners we don't often talk about. Let's gently step into the next one. This is the trap that I believe has quietly followed so many people into their later years without them even realizing it. It's the trap of unspoken guilt and regret. You know, those little thoughts that surface when the house is quiet and your mind starts to wander. You remember things you wish you'd done differently, conversations you wish you'd handled with more care, chances you didn't take, people you lost touch with. It doesn't even have to be anything dramatic. Sometimes it's the guilt of not visiting a friend when you had the chance, or wishing you had spent more time with your kids when they were little, or simply feeling like you wasted too many years worrying instead of living. And those thoughts? They can eat away at your peace like slow, invisible termites, quietly but constantly. Over time, you start to believe you don't deserve happiness now because of what you didn't do then. You might not say it out loud, but it's there, lingering in the background of your thoughts like a whisper. But here's something we all need to remember, especially as we grow older. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are a work of art in progress. No one makes it to this stage of life without a few missteps. And in most cases, the people you think you've hurt have already moved on. Or they'd welcome a conversation, even now. One of the most healing things you can do is simply forgive yourself, not just mentally, but emotionally. Try writing a letter to yourself, not to send or show anyone, just for your own release. Let your older, wiser self speak kindly to the person you used to be, not with judgment, but with grace. You've learned, you've grown, that's what life is for. And if you can, reach out. That person you lost touch with, they might be thinking of you too. That apology you've carried in your heart for decades, it might be the beginning of peace for both of you. Sometimes the path to happiness is paved with the courage to say, I forgive myself, and really mean it. That's not weakness. That's strength, the kind of strength only someone who's lived through enough storms can truly understand. Now, let's talk about a trap that might surprise you because it often hides in plain sight. It's the trap of stubborn independence. This one can feel like pride or even strength, but underneath it's often a quiet fear of being seen as weak or needy. Maybe you've spent your whole life taking care of others, your children, your spouse, your job, your home. And now that you're older, the idea of needing help might feel like failure. So you try to do everything yourself, even when it hurts. You carry heavy grocery bags alone, avoid asking for rides, or keep health concerns to yourself because you don't want to burden anyone. But here's the truth, accepting help isn't weakness. It's connection. It's trust. And it's actually one of the most courageous things you can do, because it means you're willing to be seen just as you are. Think about the people in your life who want to help you. Your adult children, your neighbors, your friends. They don't see you as a burden. They see you as someone they care about deeply. When you let them help, you're giving them a gift, the chance to feel needed, to feel close, to feel like they're doing something that matters. Imagine if you reversed the roles. If your own child or best friend needed help, Would you ever think less of them for asking? Of course not. You'd feel honored to support them. So why not allow others to feel that same gift with you? Even something as simple as letting a neighbor bring over dinner or saying yes when someone offers to drive you to the doctor can begin to chip away at that stubborn shell we build around ourselves. Because independence is important, but interdependence, that's where the real joy is. That's where the relationships deepen and the weight of daily life starts to feel lighter. There's no shame in needing a little help. In fact, there's deep wisdom in knowing when to receive as well as give. And receiving doesn't always mean physical help. Sometimes it's emotional, letting someone sit with you in silence when you're feeling low. Answering honestly when someone asks how you're doing. These are small things that create big shifts in the heart. So many seniors live quietly with feelings of regret, loneliness, or the need to appear strong. But the truth is, being strong isn't about doing it all on your own. It's about knowing when to open your heart, when to soften, when to say, I could use a little support right now. You don't have to carry it all, not anymore. You've done enough, given enough, and proven enough. Now is your time to simply be. Sometimes without even realizing it, we carry stories in our hearts that quietly tell us what we can't do anymore. And this brings us to the fourth emotional trap. The belief that it's too late to change, grow, or start again. This trap is particularly sneaky because it often feels like common sense. I'm too old for that, we say. That ship has sailed. Whether it's a dream you once had, a hobby you put aside, a new friendship, or even just a healthier way of living, you start to believe that time has passed you by. The world, you tell yourself, belongs to the younger ones now. But let me ask you something. Who decided that? Where is it written that your capacity for joy, curiosity, and purpose has an expiration date? Let's pause and really sit with this idea. It's not too late. It never was. History is filled with people who started fresh in the later chapters of life. Artists who picked up a brush for the first time at 70. Writers who published their first books at 80. People who fell in love again, who traveled for the first time, who learned to dance, or who finally forgave someone, including themselves. You still have time. Not endless time, no, but enough. Enough to make peace with your story. Enough to try something new, enough to laugh deeply, to love freely, to live now, not in the shadow of what was or the fear of what's ahead, but fully present in this very moment. It doesn't matter if you've never done yoga before, or if you've never painted, or you've never sat quietly with your own thoughts and just breathed. Start today, right where you are, at your own pace. Whether it's writing a letter, planting a flower, reading a new book, or even just sitting on the porch and watching the sky shift colors, this is living. This is life. And please don't let anyone, including that small doubting voice in your head, tell you otherwise. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that our best days are behind us. But what if they're not? What if your best moments are still waiting for you? Not out there in the distance, but right around the corner, just behind the courage to say, I'm still here, and I still matter, and you do matter. You matter to the people around you, to your community, and most of all, to yourself. You've lived, you've struggled, you've overcome. You've seen the world change, and you've changed with it. That strength, that quiet resilience, is worth more than words can say. So if there's one thing I hope you take away from all this, it's that your emotional well-being matters, not in a vague, abstract way, but in a real, day-to-day, soul-deep kind of way. And no matter where you are in life, you can choose again. You can choose peace over regret, connection over isolation, forgiveness over guilt, and hope over doubt. The emotional traps we've talked about, loneliness, comparison, guilt, fear of help, the feeling of being too late, they're common. You're not alone in feeling any of these things, but the beauty is each one of them has a way out. And you hold the key. It doesn't require a grand change or a perfect plan. It begins with awareness, with a little more kindness to yourself, a little more honesty in your conversations, a little more courage to try something new, even if you start small. Talk to someone today. Write down something you're grateful for. Ask for help without guilt. Take a deep breath and remind yourself, you are still becoming. And as you move forward, I want you to carry this truth with you. You are allowed to be happy, not because everything is perfect, not because the past didn't happen, but because today is a new day, and you are still here. If something in this video spoke to you, I'd love to hear from you. Your story matters, and your voice could be the encouragement someone else needs. So feel free to share in the comments. What emotional trap have you struggled with, and what small step are you ready to take toward freedom? And if you found comfort, insight, or even just a sense of calm in this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel. We talk about real things here, things that matter, things that make life a little brighter, one moment at a time. So until we meet again, be gentle with yourself. You've come a long way, and the road ahead, even if it's quieter than before, can still be beautiful. Here's to living your best life at any age. You've earned it.